allergies and some symptoms of COVID and recovering. And as my body was going through the motions, I started to think about what is it that I can learn from this experience. And then this, of course, had a lot of triggers, as sicknesses and adversities in life can be triggers in our lives. My mind was focusing on this beautiful queen. It's funny, right? You're sick and you're thinking about a queen. But, this is a special queen. So I want to share with you the story of this queen who is one of my role models. I know that maybe also be a little shocking that I have a queen as a role model. But it's how my life is. And this queen, her name is called Kunti Devi, Queen Kunti Devi. And just the way she handled her life, the way she showed us, at least for me, the path of suffering as a path of light that guides us to our hearts. So I'm going to tell you a small story about her. Because I was suffering, and because means my body was suffering, and I was wondering why. Because the first question when something doesn't go our way, we want to know why. Why me? Has anyone ever done this? When you're struggling, like, why me? Okay, so I guess I'm not completely an oddball here. So yeah. Then I realized that suffering was because I did not understand and I did not accept what was happening to me. That was my conclusion. Was because I didn't understand why it was happening to me and I didn't fully accept what was happening to me. So, conclusion is, suffering is when we don't understand and we don't accept what's happening to the body. So this was my conclusion. And my meditation kept going to this queen, Kunti Devi. And her story goes like this. You can read it in the Mahabharata, the great epic, where beautiful teachings are there. You can also study about her in this wisdom text called the Srimad Bhagavatam, where she is talked about as this great saintly personality who showed us how to deal with adversities in life. And no one better than her. So her life starts like this. She is born to this great king, and his name was Shudasena. Don't worry about the names, but she was born as a princess to this very powerful king. And this King Surasena had a very close friend who was the ruler of the neighboring kingdom, and that king's name was called Kunti Bhoja. So I'm just going to give you names and then we can toss them out so that we can just get on with this story, right? They were very close friends. Kunti Bhoja did not have any kids. He couldn't have any children. So he had appealed to his friend Surasena that, my dear friend, when you have an extra child, can you please let me have your extra child. Imagine that request. Someone asking you, hey, buddy, I can't have any kids. Can I have one of your spare ones? It's wild how things happen sometimes. So this King Surasena said, sure, you're my dear friend. When I have a spare child, I'll give that child to you. So this king, Surasena, had two children. One was Vasudev and one was Kunti Devi, this princess. And when she was born, she was handed over to this king named Kunti Bhoja. Imagine her life. Being born to your parents, taken away from your mother's arms, and placed it in the arms of someone else. And this is an agreement. She doesn't fully understand, but this is her life. And she grows up in this palace of Kunti Bhoja. And as she's growing up in this palace of Kunti Bhoja, she's being trained to be a good princess. And as good princess, she was given the responsibility to host one of these great sages in the palace. Hosting means to serve this sage. Many times, young children in those days were given this opportunity to serve saintly personalities. For example, when I grew up in an ashram, monastic setting, one of the things that I got to do was to serve dozens and dozens of sages and saints that used to come for several months of the year when they came on pilgrimages. So I got to serve at least several dozen sages and sannyasis and teachers and gurus from various different backgrounds. I got the opportunity to interact and serve them very closely, cooking for them, doing their laundry, massaging their soft feet. So these are some ways we used to serve them. Similarly, this queen was given the responsibility to serve this great sage named Durvasa. Again, just another Sanskrit name. So this sage Durvasa was very, very demanding sage. She is known amongst the sages to be one that is very, very easily pleased and also a little temperamental. Like if you screw up, then you could very easily get cursed by her to, you know, with something not so kind. But she was so diligent and so expert as a very young princess, that she completely satisfied this young, not this young, but this sage Durvasa with taking care of his practical needs in the palace. So this sage had given her a special benediction or a boon. And what was that boon? He gave this sage a special mantra that whenever she wanted, she could chant this mantra and invite any heavenly gods to give her a child. How cool is that? Imagine you can invite anybody you want to give you a child just with this mantra. So she was bestowed with celestial children simply by chanting this mantra. So she was very excited. She was thinking, oh, you know, now I have this special gift. Imagine you get a special gift. You want to immediately unwrap it and open it and check what's inside. She's just a teenager. Maybe at the max, because the age was not very clear. in the Mahabharata text. So she is this young girl with this powerful mantra that she can invoke whoever she wants simply by chanting this mantra. Means celestial gods. So she wanted to experiment it. So one morning, as the sun was rising, she went onto her balcony and she prepared her morning sadhana routine, and she was like, I wonder what this mantra will do. And she chants this mantra. And when she chanted this mantra, the sun god personified appeared in front of her. Effulgent, radiant, wearing golden armors. The sun god appears in front of her and says, my dear child, you have asked for a child, so here is a child. Here is my child that I give to you. So sun god personified gave his son to be mothered by Queen Princess Kunti Devi at a very young age. And now that she has this, and the sun god just split, just disappeared. So now all of a sudden, this little princess has a child to deal with. What does an unmarried princess do with a child? It was considered to be extremely uncivilized those days to have children out of wedlock, and especially such a young child, young princess. So she panicked and she freaked out. So she wrapped this beautiful baby up in her arms with all those beautiful linens that she could gather to decorate him so nicely, and wrap this baby up. And she put this baby in a basket. While nobody was watching, she snuck away this baby in a basket. And she took it to the nearby river where the water was flowing smoothly. And she placed this baby in a basket covered in cloth and just let this baby go. This was her first child, and she just let it go. Fast forward, Queen Kunti Devi, she gets married off to this great king named Pandu, and extremely wealthy, but again, her life takes a very interesting turn. They go to hunting in the forest with her king and her sister queen. Madri was the sister queen. And her king had a special curse that there's another story on all these curses. This was a very common thing, that you do something wrong, people curse you, and those become a reality. So this king was cursed that anytime he tried to have children or try to be intimate with the queens, that will be the end of his life. He'll immediately be a demise of his existence. He was cursed by a sage. And that's another story, why the sage cursed him, which I will tell you maybe at another day. So this king was cursed. And when they were out in the forest, he had this desire, but he couldn't do anything. But the desire and pursuing that desire caused his demise. Now imagine this king had asked Kunti Devi to please have some children so that there will be an heir to the throne. And Kunti Devi had asked Yama, the god of death, to please chant the mantra. She got one child. first child, second child named Yudhishthira. First one was from the sun god. And then she got a second one, invoked wind god, and wind god came and gave her one child. And then Indra, the king of the heavenly regions, king of kings, he was invoked and he gave Kunti Devi a child. So Yudhishthira, Bhima, and Arjuna were the three children that she had at this junction. And Pandu, in this forest, having desire, caused his demise, but his other queen named Madri, she could not live with the separation from the king, and she also had two children. She had twins. So not being able to live in separation from the king, so she also jumped into the funeral fire. This was another interesting practice they used to have. So now Queen Kunti is left with three of her kids. One she put to the river, and three kids that she's going to be raising by herself, and two stepkids from her, from Madri, the second queen. So she has a total of 5 children. A single mother with 5 children, even living in this royal palace. This was her story. Fast forward her life. Kingdoms means there's always fights, and there's always someone who wants to take over your kingdom and rule over your project. So this was a common phenomenon those days. Kings used to fight. And there were also sibling rivalry, which is another element that happens in life. So her children, 5 young children that she is single-handedly raising, were the target of many, many other dubious kings and dubious people. Even within the same kingdom, they wanted these 5 children to be eliminated. So one after another, there is a continuous effort to kill her 5 children. And these are 5 princes. One device that they did, one plan they had devised was to send them to a beautiful palace made of shellac. I think it's called in different candles, but it was so real. And that whole plan was hatched. It was just made so beautifully. Whole plan was hatched to send them on a little vacation and to burn up the whole palace so that all the 5 children along with the mother could be burned to ashes. So in this way, there were continuous efforts by the rival, the cousins, other kings, to somehow eliminate this 5 princes and their mother. And at all junctions in her life as Queen Kunti, trying to raise 5 children single-handedly, she continuously went through one after another attempt by others to eliminate her 5 kids. Somehow she managed to put the kids through school, military school, and she got her children married. Then what happened? Then they tried to dishonor the wives of her children by trying to disrobe them in public. And every possible calamity could happen to her children, she had endured. And finally, they were banished to the forest for 12 years. You can't live in this kingdom. Imagine, she's born as a queen, as a princess. And now she's living with her 5 kids raising 5 kids single-handedly in the forest. And those forests were known to be infested with wild killer animals. And she's living with them. And these 5 kids were sent out begging in the nearby villages to live on alms, live on charity. So this was her life. What I find very interesting, why she is my hero, one of my heroes, is that she writes a beautiful Sanskrit prayer to God. And she says, "Let calamities come upon me again and again and again. And so that I may see that with every calamity, I may see and feel your divine presence. For when I feel and see your divine presence, I will be freed from repeated birth and death in this material world." I was like, whoa, hold on a second, lady. What did you just say? I was completely blown away how this lady who was taken away from her parents, having to give her children up, first child, a mother's heart to give a child up for adoption is not an easy thing. Circumstances. And then now everybody wants to kill her children, her 3 own kids, and she's raising 2 adopted children. And while she's doing it, everyone in this world is trying to destroy those children because those children are the heir to the throne that everybody wants to take over. And what is she praying? Please give me more calamities. So what is it that she's seeing? What is it that she's experiencing? And so when we study her life, when I deeply study and research her life, I come to understand that what she's teaching us is that every difficulty, every pain, every suffering that we endure in life, in that suffering, there is God. There is divine, there is some incredible truth that lies hidden within that experience. And that truth will set us free. So this is my story about her. And she is one of the inspirations where we have created this process, this course called Chitta Cleanse. Chitta Cleanse is how to find the virtues in your traumas, how to find the truth, how to find the beauty, how to find God in the most difficult experiences in life. And she has shown us the way. What she has shown us is those adversities in life, the difficulties in life, they do not define us. Those are simply a small wound in our life. And those wounds, they scar. And those wounds remind us of our purpose in life. They guide us. Those are guiding light to our truth. This is what she has taught us. And later on, the same teachings that I see and I study in the lives of the sages and saints, that they have used this same tool of adversities and difficulties and suffering and pain in life to take them to the pinnacle of spiritual realization, to the topmost level of spiritual realization. So this is why then, after studying her, seeing what she has taught all of us, and later on seeing more contemporary sages like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is an incredible saint who just lived less than 200 years ago. He had endured all kinds of pain. There was never a day in his life when he was not in pain and suffering. And he curates a very, very incredible process of healing, of seeing the beauty and the virtue and the truth, the light, and seeing God in all his struggles. So much so, he is considered to be one of the preeminent sages of India. He is called the seventh Goswami. There's the six sages of Vrindavan. He is considered to be the seventh one. And what does he teach us? He teaches us this process of chitta cleanse in his own life. And after thoroughly studying the lives and the struggles and how the sages, numbers of sages who had accepted this beautiful path of seeing God in their struggles, how all of that brought them closer and closer, so much so that they lived in union with God. So this is how the Chitta cleanse comes about, from this incredible princess, queen, Kunti Devi, and the teachings of sages like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I just wanted to say this because we are studying the Chitta cleanse online course today. And I'm just reminiscing and realizing how in the ancient yoga text, so much is taught about suffering and pain. It's just lessons and lessons and lessons and more lessons about how to understand suffering and pain, and how to take those suffering and pain and those become our stepping stones to have an intimate relationship with God, to be in union with God. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he uses the process of art as one of the tools, and that is what we use in Chitta Cleanse. Art, writing, drawing, singing. A beautiful way to go through this process of connecting with God through your difficulties. And the second process we use community. This process of being with God, in union with God, in intimate relationship with God, we need to be in a community environment. And that's why Chitta Cleanse, we're doing it as a group. And through this process of Chitta Cleanse, we are able to free ourselves from what? From this constant emotion that is directed towards our wounds and our sufferings. Each and every one in this world is filled with scars and wounds. Some have become scars and some are wounds that are still open. For example, this morning someone sent me a text message. And in the text message, and I said, I don't understand how to do this. You must make something like this for dumb people so that people like me can learn this. It's a little difficult. Technology and me, we don't have a fantastic relationship. So, and I could see that the response I got was, do you think what I did was horrible? and I immediately thought to this lesson that I was going to share with all of you, is that sometimes the wounds are so deep inside of us, they haven't fully healed. And so as a result, we will say things out of an open wound because these wounds have not healed. And Chitta cleanse is strictly a process that is given to us by the sages on how to close those wounds and let it heal. And that happens through the tools that you get in Chitta cleanse, and you can use those tools at every junction in your life, and you can heal yourself. Because no one in this world can heal you. Only you can heal you. And this is what we learn from the yoga text, that we have the power to heal. And that power is given to us in so many different ways by so many beautiful sages. And to really find, once we understand, first thing in Chitta cleanse is you will learn to acknowledge that you have wounds, you have scars. That you will learn to acknowledge them, because we cannot reject them. Our mind and attention is constantly going to those wounds because they're open. And Chitta cleanse teaches us how to acknowledge them, first level. And then in the second level, we learn, after acknowledging, how to understand what has happened. Is important because once we don't understand, our attention will continuously go to that wound because it's open. The wound hasn't healed. We have not done anything to heal that wound. And then finally, the fourth step that we'll go through is the art of accepting. Acknowledging, understanding, and accepting that there's laws of karma that we cannot control. Laws of karma that happens. And there is samskaras that we have brought from other lifetimes. And there's vasanas, there's desires that have accumulated over many lifetimes. And those vrittis, the tendencies, are pulling us in all directions. And then we are propelled by the force of the mind who have fortified those material desires. And we go back into the cycle of karma and creating more wounds in our life. So we learn how to accept. And then finally, the stage of surrender. And after the stage of surrender, we learn that there is a unique purpose on why we had gone through all those wounds in our life. And that is where the Chitta cleanse ends, when we teach and when we share and we provide tools for you to find your dharma, your purpose in life. So this is how this great Queen Kunti is my role model. She has been the one to help me heal my wounds. She's the one that helped me to close my wounds. She's the one that helped me to pave my path of light where I can share this Chitta cleanse and whatever I have learned through my struggles in life. So thank you so much for your patience, and if anybody would like to share anything or have any questions or comments or reflections, anything, we have 10 minutes. So basically, overview is that I explained my meditation. This several days I was out of physical commission, and how it helped me because of this whole understanding suffering and how it connects to the chitta cleanse that we do. Okay, the floor is open. Anybody would like to share anything? Any questions?
I could share my experience with the Chitta cleanse.
Please, Jennifer.
Yeah, yeah, it's good to see everybody. Um, and it's nothing, nothing more can I add than what you have said. But my experience has been um, learning to take accountability for my old stories, or what have I've even made up about those stories. Maybe true, maybe not true, but they were my stories. And having the chance to go through those old stories with another human who can reflect what it is that I'm saying so I can hear it back to me and then give me some direction and what that circumstance actually is and accepting what the results are, or more than likely from my own behaviors, those results. It's not from some other force, it's directly from my behaviors. And then the results, were never mine anyway. I choose to call God Krishna. It was always up to Krishna, the path I was on, and I'm able to see my resistance, even in childhood, just resisting the path, and then finally, like you said, like the surrender. I've always had trouble with the word surrender, because it was a story that I had made up of what surrender looked like, and what it seems to me today, and what it came through was just going through my same rituals every day, just no matter whether I wanted to do it or not. It was like chanting and prayer and being kind, and it was work for me. It didn't come naturally. And just staying with those ritual gradually, I saw my community grow. I mean, everywhere I went, my life was getting bigger. I wasn't so isolated with these old beliefs I had, and also I had a little trouble with the present moment, and and uh, and really what that meant, and that what it is for me now is staying with those rituals every day and letting it unfold. And it's like even parking places have started to open up. I mean, life has some ease to it, just for doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, yeah, and the present story, what the my present story is reflected in the people I'm around now. So the people are better. I'm better. So the people are better.
That's so nice. Jennifer did the Chitta cleanse with Daksha, with one of the other students, right?
Yeah, I love Daksha.
Daksha and Keshavi are other co-hosts for the Chitta cleanse because those were the first two people that I did Chitta cleanse with. And they have become expert where they offer one-to-one and group sessions on Chitta cleanse. But I will be personally leading this one for the next, I think, 5 months, just weekends. And Keshavi has put in a lot of work into it, putting it on the site, and Dr. Devi and her, and Nita has been working on videos because you'll be given videos. And so it's just a very nice uh, seva for me because I really enjoy when people are free and can be themselves closer to God and closer to finding their dharma. Keshavi, you want to share anything?
About Chitta cleanse or the course or both?
Chitta cleanse, your experience?
My
If
experience.
no one has any questions.
Well, I was going to share a little bit on the next call, but I mean, it just changed. Jennifer, thank you for sharing. That was wonderful to hear your experience. My experience, well, gosh, yeah, I mean, it completely changed my trajectory of life, I would say. Um, Without getting into too much detail, but yeah, I mean, it affected me so much that I want to help others do it. So yeah, we offer one-on-ones, and yeah, we're excited for this group coming up at 10:30. So yeah.
This is not a sale pitch by any means because the place is booked. Our seats are full. And it's just an offering that we'll be offering again later on. And also we'll be offering facilitators course. So you'll actually learn the Chitta Cleanse Mastery. You'll learn how to understand and navigate and help people to navigate through this journey as well. So thank you so much. Anyone else has any questions?
Hi, Guru Vedasada.
Mohini.
I have something to share, and I also have a question also. I am recovering from a very painful and sudden flare-up that started last year, October. I, as well, as my Guru Vedasada knows, it was about 3.5 years ago when I sat in front of him and told him that I couldn't understand why I had got diagnosed with an autoimmune of rheumatoid arthritis. I, in my opinion, or from my vantage point, I was doing everything right. And I just want to say I'm really grateful for this space that you have held for us today, and what you have shared with us today, and how knowing that, well, with hardships come ease, and that the suffering is only the sandpaper to the awakening. It is definitely a reminder for me, because right now I have an open wound. Right now I have an open wound that I am hoping to be in your presence in a week or so, so that you can guide me as you have done before onto the path of healing. And just to piggyback off of what you said, Guru Vedasada, when I was waking up every day in pain in October and in November, and I couldn't walk. I had to be fed, I had to be bathed, and my daughter, my 2.5-year-old daughter, could not touch me without me screaming in pain. I literally felt as if I was in an active childbirth from moment to moment, day after day, for about 75 days on end. And I remember the moment that I started to begin to even ask Source, why was this happening to me, was the moment I remembered all of your teachings. And it was the moment that I was given the message that pain and disease and death are only allies for transformations. They're not to be fought. There is a lesson behind it, a very beautiful lesson. And the lesson that I learned during these 75 days of not being able to move around, move my joints, and being in a constant chronic pain, I recognized that I was missing out on those this very beautiful part of motherhood that I didn't even recognize I was missing out on. So because I couldn't walk and because I couldn't move, I started seeing these little things between my daughter and her father that I guess just completely passed me by before. It and I could have never thought in a million years that I was missing these things until I was sitting in all this pain and suffering. It wasn't until I was unable to do and just be still is when I was able to see that this magical creation of having a daughter and becoming a mother had just sped up so fast, this part of my life, this new part of my life. becoming a mother, becoming a partner, becoming a farm owner, becoming a restaurant owner, I recognized that I just deep dived into this part of my life that was moving so fast, and I wasn't being present enough to bask in the ambience of my creation. And I didn't recognize it until I was sitting in all that pain and suffering. So I wanted to say thank you so much for this share today, for everything that you're, this knowledge and this wisdom. It means so much to me because I just got back on my feet in January, and the healing part has been filled with so many beautiful surprises, and it has been filled with so much new abundance and so much awakening. And I wanted to say that this share definitely deeply resonates with me at this present moment as I heal this open wound. So I'll be traveling to Atlanta on Monday, and I'll be there for a few weeks, and I can't wait to experience the Chitta cleanse that has healed me before and I know will heal me again. Thank you, Guru Veda Sada.
Thank you, Minnie. So brave of you to share the depths of your struggles and the beauty. And so grateful to be with all of you and to be with you. Thank you, Mohini.
Thank you, Guru Veda Sada.
Okay, I think okay, we have 1 more minute, 2 more minutes. Anybody else would like to share? I don't want to take that from anyone. Okay. Devi Radhika, oh, Keshavi,
Oh,
yes.
sorry. Now, Davy, you were going to share.
I was.
Oh, he called your name, so I wasn't sure.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu. No, it's a very timely topic. So thank you, all of you, for sharing and for your teachings today.
Devi is also finished the Chitta cleanse and she's going to be becoming a
Mentor.
Chitta cleanse expert. So she's going to be joining us. Okay. Anything else, Keshavi, before we?
Just wanted to put a plug for the new New York retreat we have coming up. It's in the chat. I don't know if you want to put the Gita Nagari retreat in the chat too, but those are our two upcoming events. Nitai is in meditation, I guess.
Nitai, anything else? Any announcements before we leave?
Can you put the Gita Nagari link in the chat?
Let me put the
Yeah.
link. It's on.
Okay. So thank you all so much. So nice to be with all of you. Please continue to be in your sadhana space, be in your heart space. Continue to love yourself and love others. And don't forget your sadhana. And those of you who are joining the Chitta cleanse, we'll see you in half an hour. Namaste, beautiful souls.
Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
Namaste.